A spring, when strained, will undergo displacement and get compacted when it gets compressed. But the spring keeps exerting an equal and opposite force on the body that compresses or stretches it. Springs quietly wait for an opportunity to knock out the body that stretches or compresses it. The restoring force of springs always points in the direction of the equilibrium position, and as a general rule, everything wishes to stay in a state of equilibrium. Congo was the spring that was compressed by the body China, but it hadn't given up. It was exerting an equal and opposite force. It was quietly waiting for an opportunity to knock out China. The restoring force of Congo has been set into motion, and China has been thrown out. Hi and welcome. This is TFI Global, the foreign affairs and geopolitical analysis arm of the TFI Media Group. I'm your host Atul Mishra. In this video, I will tell you about the recent developments in the Democratic Republic of Congo that has forced China to press the panic button. Let's begin. The Chinese state has been committing some ghastly crimes in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and now the people of China living in the African nation seem to be paying for the misdeeds of their country. In fact, the Chinese embassy in the DRC is asking Chinese people to leave behind everything except the shoes on their feet and clothes on their bodies and run for their lives. The Chinese embassy has run into panic mode after a huge leak of 3.5 million documents exposed how the Chinese state was looting Congolese wealth by digging up the African nation's mines and transferring all its wealth to China, without any proceeds going to the Congolese people. Chinese state-owned publication Global Times has reported the Chinese embassy in the Democratic Republic of Congo, or the DRC, issued an urgent notice requesting Chinese nationals in the three eastern provinces of the DRC, Ituri, North Kivu and South Kivu, to report their information to the embassy and evacuate immediately after a number of vicious cases of armed robbery and kidnapping of Chinese nationals took place in the region. Global Times added, Chinese nationals in the area around Bunia and Jugu in Ituri, Beni and Rutshuru in North Kivu and Fizi, Uvira and Mwenga in South Kivu are requested to evacuate to other safe areas in the DRC as soon as possible, said the embassy. The embassy has also stated that those who refuse to report their personal information and insist on staying in the three provinces will be personally responsible for the consequences that ensue. The Chinese embassy has created an entire code of conduct for Chinese interests located in the DRC that involves paying close attention to the local situation, strengthening safety precautions and emergency preparedness, and venturing out only if it is absolutely unavoidable. The Chinese embassy has issued the latest warning in the midst of recent reports that 2 Chinese nationals were killed and 5 kidnapped during an armed attack on a gold mine in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Chinese government has been left befuddled by recent attacks on Chinese interests in Congo. Now the Chinese government has jumped in to rescue its citizens. Chinese State Councillor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi himself urged the DRC to secure the release of Chinese nationals held captive by local attackers and to take effective measures for protecting Chinese citizens in the African nation. He also expressed concerns about the kidnapping and killing of Chinese citizens in the DRC during the 8th Ministerial Conference of the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation with Christopher Lutundula, Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is not as if the people of the Democratic Republic of Congo are turning against China for no good reason. A latest Bloomberg report has revealed that a Chinese-run company moved millions of dollars to former DRC President Joseph Kabila's cronies. Money flowed through to Kabila's allies via a bank partly owned by his sister and run by his brother Selemani Francis Mtavle. The Congo Construction Company, or the CCC, which was founded by a Chinese national, Du Wei, also facilitated transactions of tens of millions of dollars that benefited people and companies close to former President Kabila. According to the expose, over 5 years, tens of millions of dollars flowed through CCC's accounts to people and companies associated with Congo's then President Joseph Kabila, all at a bank partly owned by his sister and run by his brother Selemani Francis Mtavle. The investigation found that at least $138 million was transited through the BGFI bank by the Chinese to stuff President Kabila and his family. It helped in the takeover of much of the Congolese mining industry by Chinese companies. It was, of course, in a sharp reaction to the exposed loot that Chinese nationals in the DRC started getting attacked. As the Congolese people started getting aware about how the Chinese were bribing Congolese leaders and trying to transfer their wealth back home to China, they reacted with sheer force and coercion. Now the Chinese government, which is itself cognizant of the magnitude of its ghastly crimes in the African nation, is asking its citizens to flee the DRC, even if it means giving up all the wealth up for grabs in the resource-rich country.